people have also been through the struggle and they're on their own journey. So I just need to constantly remind myself, like, this is my journey. I know things are going well. I'm grateful to be busy and my time will come.
I have been itching to record this episode for a very long time. I finally sat down with Xanthi, the founder of The Digital Color, and we chat about the struggles of running your own business, but also, of course, the perks, and then how to balance social media and digital marketing and look after your mental health at the same time. Now, this episode is launching in a very special month because myself and Xanthi and the founder of Surge Social Media, Tyler Walters, have teamed up to record valuable lessons and training videos to help business owners and individuals leverage Instagram to accelerate brand awareness. So if you want to know more about that, head on over to thestreamshop.co.za. But for now, tune in to our episode where we chat all things about running your own business.
I thought I'd start off with, because this is how I feel, but like 3 words to kind of describe your state of being at the moment, like being a business boss, a mom, or juggling so many roles. Like, how are you?
3 words, I would say: overwhelmed, stressed, but also like excited. Because I feel like these times where you're feeling like challenged and going through like a lot of projects and just a lot of work and everything, it's a lot, but it's exciting because you're seeing your business grow and you're seeing like all the hard work and efforts that you've been putting in like take shape. So I'm grateful for it, but it is difficult. I think I did underestimate like the entrepreneurial life. I think a lot of people see it as being glamorous and you have so much freedom, but I mean, I've never worked so hard before in my entire life, and it is difficult juggling a lot because I mean, I've got my business, I've got my daughter, and then I've got my personal life as well. So yeah, it is overwhelming, but in a good way.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. If I had to think of my 3 words though, overwhelmed would definitely be one that I'm feeling at the moment. It's not something that I feel every day, but overwhelmed, moody, and
Yeah.
frustrated, I think are my 3. And I think the
I
frustration.
try to put in a positive one at the end, but I totally relate to you.
So we chat on a daily basis working together, and so we both know there are a lot of perks, which we'll of course get into as well. But just from the like frustration point of view and the struggle point of view, um, I particularly just getting prepped for us to have this little podcast session. It's such a passion of mine, like having these conversations and hopefully being able to spend more time investing in the podcast side of things. But just setting it all up and doing it all myself, there were things that were just went wrong. Like the camera first didn't want to work. Then my mic was giving me issues. Then all
Gosh.
these tech things. Before I knew it, I was setting up for an hour. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to talk to you about, is the fact that we get frustrated and, oh, load shedding.
No.
Wait, that is just the universe. Like, exactly what I mean. Like, you think you've got
Yeah.
everything sorted and you're juggling so many different balls, and then you just realize there has to come a point that you get external resources, you outsource, so that you really can
Yeah.
use your energy to focus on what you're good at. And this was
Mm.
like an exact example. It's like, if I really want to invest more time into the podcast side of things, my little home
Mm.
system is amazing and I've been invested in great tech. But if it's taking me 2 hours and I'm having issues and the quality is not going to be as good, rather go and spend on a studio space, get professionals, invest that money, because the quality and output is going to be so much more worth it. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what we often are juggling as business owners, is when is it a good point to or stage to invest in someone else for support, and when
Mm.
to, and it doesn't often, it's not always a first time like hit that you are outsourcing and it's a great return on investment. But I can totally, just to wrap up what I was saying, I can totally relate to the fact that you're trying to do so many different things at the same time that things can be so overwhelming. And at some point, we need to actually step away, focus on what we're good at, reserve that energy,
Yeah,
and get other people involved. That was basically
I
what I'm.
agree. I know. I mean, I feel like with me also, like I'm very much a people pleaser. So I will say yes to a lot, because I don't like to let anyone down or let people wait on me. So if they're asking something, I'm like, yeah, I'll get this done, and then push aside like everything else I've been doing to get that done. So I think that's also been like a thing of the like feeling overwhelmed or feeling stressed is because I'm busy working on a project and then I'm quickly doing something else, even though that client like doesn't even expect it to be done in that moment. It's just the way I work. So yeah, I think I just also it's just putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I don't know, but I think that's normal. It just comes with like learning along the way.
Totally. And I think that's why you're so good at what you do, is because you do have that eye for detail, that need to, as much as it's a curse, it's also a blessing, that people pleasing skill. I
Yeah.
also have it, and I'm constantly trying to figure out new boundaries and ways of not letting it affect me mentally. So on that note, and that's something that I actually this week I was like, cool, next step that I need to take, because I am feeling a bit more anxious than usual. I'm struggling to fall
Mm.
asleep. What do I need resource wise? And I love a little upskilling and podcast session, but I've taken it a step further and gone, no, actually, I need to see my therapist again. It's been ages. As much as I think that's what we always forget, is
Mm.
you no longer have that person in a corporate space that is kind of giving you approving your work or giving you recognition. Like all of that
Yeah.
comes from yourself. You don't
Mm.
have that when you're working on your own, and especially the space that you and I are both in. Our businesses are very new, so there's a lot of overtime being spent running the
Yeah.
business. If you now could outsource or get three resources to assist you to have a better or a more balanced life, work, and social, personal life, what would those resources
Mm.
be?
Definitely more help with like the hands-on stuff. I've got two like lovely girls that help me part-time, but I think also just growing and yeah, like getting more um eyes on the projects, more hands on, I don't know, just yeah, more staff basically helping me, because it's just I think towards the end of the year it always gets to this point where like a lot of people are stressing about their social media, so they start inquiring because they don't know what they're going to be doing with their socials in the new year, and they get stressed. So it always gets a lot it gets very overwhelming towards like this time of the year especially, but I think just in general I've seen how having these two lovely ladies help me, it's really like made such a difference. So if I could have more of that, that would be really like amazing. And then I think like mentorship is a huge thing, because being your own boss, you don't have a business partner, it can get quite lonely. So having someone to just navigate, help you navigate along the way, to teach you like maybe you should do things this way, just to have a different set of eyes, because yeah, getting an outside perspective, I think always does help. Um, and then upskilling for me, and I know for you, is a huge thing. I think you can never learn enough, even in your own industry. So, like, I will do social media management, but I also do email marketing and Pinterest and Facebook ads, or just yeah, ad campaigns. And there's so much change happening. So I think like constantly learning is a huge thing for me, educating myself, making sure that I'm on top of like the latest features or the trends is really important. So I think that's a huge investment, yeah, that I would love to have more time to do more of.
Those are good resources to get. And I think, yeah, I think you're in such a great space for your agency. And just a little reminder for you and for anyone else who's feeling the same is like the beginning stages and the hard work and long hours and energy, it always pays off in the end. Even if one had to
Yeah.
in the future, close your business and start something new or go back to corporate, like everything that you're putting in now has got such a benefit long term. And a lot of the times
Mm.
I still remember when the starting stages of my PR agency, the first 2 to 3 years, it was very labor intensive. And then as
Yeah.
we started to grow and we had structure and systems, your responsibility also got less. You became a lot quicker at what, like, the execution and the implementation. So there
Mm.
is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But what is great as well is as you start sort of getting more resources and employing, it is going to alleviate a lot of sort of, or give you more time to look at upskilling and
Yeah.
advancing and
Exactly.
self-development so that you can essentially give back more to your clients, which is it's a very similar space that I'm also heading towards.
Mm.
And when it comes
Yeah.
to both our fields with digital marketing, PR, and social media, it isn't as it isn't as high on the priority list for a lot of corporate companies I know, especially not for small startups who don't necessarily have the funds at the beginning to outsource. And we've both been there. There are a lot of roles that we still juggle internally. Why do you think specifically our industry, a lot of startups and business owners don't necessarily see the value in investing in it or outsourcing, or why they sometimes question the cost involved, especially I feel social media, because a lot of the times maybe it's because they think because it's setting up your own
Yeah.
Instagram account, Facebook account, posting a few things. So many times
Mm.
business owners think it's something that they can manage internally. And if they look at social media and outsourcing and they look at the fees and packages, they go, oh, I can save, 6 to 10 grand a month and do it myself. Like, why do you think
Yeah.
people have that mentality, or business owners?
I think they can't really like have anything to measure their investment. So they also like don't see what goes on behind the scenes because yes, it's easy to just find a picture or a video and put a caption together and post it. But it's actually obviously so much more than that. Like there's so much research and strategy that goes behind it. Like if they are just posting random pictures all the time, are they actually speaking to their target audience? Like, is it thought out? Should that actually be like a reel, for example? Like if I'm planning just someone's content, it takes me hours because it's making sure that everything's staying on brand, that we're actually talking to the right target audience and putting content out there that is educating people. And I don't think brands, or I don't think a lot of people take this into consideration because at the end of the day, like as cliche as it sounds, like time is money. So a lot of it is they paying for your time. I'll get like people saying unrealistic things like I want X amount of followers in this time and I want X amount of sales in this time, but it's not as easy as that. So I think a lot of people are starting to really understand more how important social media is and why they need a social media manager or an agency. But I still think there's a lot that don't understand really how they can measure their investment. It's not like a tangible thing. So they kind of feel like, oh, I can save and just do it myself. But yeah, it's not that simple.
That's so
So,
true. Let me just. So it's, well, that I suppose I've been, especially in PR for the past 15 years, that was the hardest part about it, was
mm,
showing the return on investment. But yet it's so funny when you were chatting, I was just thinking about you then speak to some startups and business owners who then tell me, oh my gosh, I spend so much time on social media and trying to plan something. And I'm like,
exactly.
exactly, exactly. So why are you not outsourcing it? Because
Exactly.
that's like, and it's been something that I've had to reassess constantly. I mean, I'm the exact example of what I'm talking about. Before I started working with you and getting the digital collar to run my social media, I was 100% doing it myself because, once again, I was one of those people who said, like, I know how to do it. But what I do
Mm,
also have is that strategy background and the background in actually being able to implement it. But that isn't that isn't where I get that's not a revenue stream for me. Like, I don't do social media for clients. So by me outsourcing that, I've got more time to focus on the things that do actually bring in a revenue for the business. So
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
constantly weighing up what is taking too much time and energy. Am I being paid for that time and energy spent? And if not,
Mm,
like, get someone involved with
yeah.
those sort of areas is exactly the same as your finances. And so yeah, it's an interesting, it's a tricky space to be in, and I think that both, like, the industry that we in, it's getting a better rep as
Yeah.
the world is becoming a lot more reliant on digital and digital marketing.
Mm,
But I do feel South Africa, we do have a long way to go, because even if I look at my, like, time and yours working in the UK, the difference between there and here,
yeah.
it's I still remember actually moving over from being a PR account manager in South Africa to the UK, then having to take a back step into account exec role position. I was still earning double the amount there. Obviously, it was also pounds, but at the same time, just the salary, like, if you looked at salary surveys, the amount that they pay digital marketers, PR, and advertising, they really
Mm,
value the services. And I think so many people, especially, are doing themselves a disservice by not investing not only in social media but ads.
mm,
Like, that's something that I know you and I have
yes.
been chatting about a lot lately. Um, do you think people can run their own social media successfully?
I think they can, like, if done correctly, if you are willing to like take the time and energy to learn about it, then you can. I know a lot of times business owners will start doing their socials and it will go well, and they have that strong presence online, but then it gets too busy and then they start focusing on other things, and social media tends to be something that gets pushed aside, um, which is like obviously the worst thing that can happen, because that's where people go to first to look up a brand. So um, there are so many amazing courses out there. I know Stream as well like offers so much. So if you are willing to put in that time and energy to learn, then definitely yes. But you got to be consistent with that, because if you got to get to a point where your business is growing, and it becomes more difficult to put in that time and effort. And there's a lot of times I have a conversation with like a potential new client, and they'll say, I didn't realize how much effort goes into social media, and it is really a full-time job, and all of that. But there are a lot of businesses that are running their own social media, and they're killing that out there. They jump in on the bandwagon of the new features like reels, for example, and being consistent, interacting with their audience, engaging, and really like giving out content to their audience that the audience wants. So I do see that it does definitely work, but you got to be willing to really make it a priority.
Totally. And I think that's the thing, is if you're a startup or a solopreneur, I think that's where running your own social media really needs to be something that you have to consider whether it's worth your time. Because if you don't
Mm,
have, um, if that's taking away a lot of the time that can be focused on your services or selling your products to bring in revenue, then of course you need to assess and outsource or employ a
exactly.
virtual assistant who's got experience in social media, or somewhere you need a helping hand, because
Mm,
that will just consume you unless you've got a passive income coming in and you've actually got 2 hours a day minimum to be spending on your social media. Um,
definitely.
minimum.
Minimum.
I know. And then otherwise as well, if you are a bigger or business and you've got a few employees and you've been running your business for quite some time and you've got the resources and support, then definitely you can run your social media internally, because it also has its perks. You're on the ground, you can show a lot of the behind the
Mm,
scenes, you can add a lot of value when it comes to your content. But just talking
yeah.
about, like, I get a little bit of anxiety just thinking about like the hours that goes in constantly to social media. How do you set those boundaries to switch off from always being switched on, especially when you are on the platform? I know you do a lot of it manually and not necessarily just
Mm.
planned with a social media planning app. So where do you draw the line of switching off? Do you have notifications? Like, how do you manage it so that it doesn't affect your mental health?
That's a good question because I'm still learning how to balance it. Like there are times where it's fine and like I've got my plan set out of my work schedule and I get things done. But most of the time it's not that simple because there's always deadlines, there's always something to do. So there's a lot of times I'm working till like 1 a.m. Then I'm up at 6:30 getting my daughter ready for school. And then if she's sick and she can't be at school, then my whole day has changed. So a lot of times it's very unpredictable. So like in all honesty, I haven't found that balance yet. Yeah, it's a it's a struggle. Sometimes I'll just be like, you know what? This can wait. I'm gonna just chill on the couch, watch some series, and this can be like tomorrow's problem. So I do have those moments, but I don't switch notifications off. I think I'm just like a control freak. I get paranoid in case something's happened and I don't see it and I'm not able to fix it. Um, and then also this year I did get a scheduler, which has been a big thing for me. Um, because I've been doing a lot of things manually, and I think that's also been just taking up so much time where I could be spending actually finishing off projects. But there I am, like getting the post out, making sure that everything's perfect because I just want it to be good for the client. So I have been putting in a few things like outsourcing some clients to Kerry and Courtney, who help me get in the scheduler. So slowly things have been going into getting into place. But I also think you said already, the beginning stages of a business, you're still learning, and it is a bit of a mess, but it will get better. So there isn't much of a balance yet to answer your question, but
So,
yeah, slowly.
so you're quite reliant, of course, on your phone because of what you do. Do you have a
Yeah, yeah.
separate work phone and personal phone or not? So that's
No,
maybe,
everything's just on.
yeah. So if you don't want to switch off your notifications, that's maybe one way, is getting a separate phone so that you can actually just
I have
literally.
thought of it. Yeah, I have thought of that, like getting another phone and just like on the weekends it just stays at home, and in the evenings it's not in the bedroom. I definitely have thought of that because it really can consume me. I mean, you're busy doing something, you see a notification go off, and you're like, let me just check it, and then it's not even something you really need to pay attention to, but you end up going on Instagram anyway, just to go on, and then you're scrolling for so long, so it really just, yeah, it takes up a lot of time, but it just comes with the game because social media just doesn't sleep. So yeah,
100%. Hundreds. I
yeah.
think that's also a big game changer for me since starting stream. Was I was very, very involved with what is happening on social media, especially abroad within my field. Where can I learn? What
Mm,
resources are out there for me to upskill and to absorb and to get better at my craft? And because of that, I found myself going down the rabbit hole a hell of a lot, like daily, and not switching off. And this was even happening, and I
yeah.
didn't have notifications. So I'd switched notifications off a couple of years ago when Nicole and I started Wellness in the City, because of course that account got a lot of traction and we had constantly notifications going off. So I had to switch that off because otherwise it would just so distract me from what I was
Mm,
doing and I'd lose focus. And the same with stream at the beginning was the the game changer for me was knowing that there is always work to do. So yes, social media doesn't switch off, but being your own like running your own business and being your own boss also doesn't switch off. Like there's literally
Yeah,
always work that can
exactly.
be done, which is why
Yeah.
laptop and cell phone symbolize work for me. So the things that I did at the beginning was going, let me set a social media boundary of like times that I'm not going on to my phone. Then I started
Mm,
like putting my laptop away or closing my office door, making sure that the laptop's not like on the dining room table. Those sort of
yeah.
things helped me mentally a hell of a lot.
Mm,
But the biggest game changer has definitely been like not being on social media on my phone in my bed in the evening and the morning. And
yeah.
it's crazy to now. At the beginning it was hard. It was literally, I actually listened to a podcast before, but how of course it's a dopamine fix as well, and because a lot of
Mm,
it's integrated with the way our work, we really reliant on social media. But just that breaking that habit took me like weeks, if not months, and I'd often find myself falling back into going onto the platform,
mm,
like in the
yeah.
bedroom, in the evening. And what has also helped has been having a purpose when I go on the platform. So we reliant on social media for marketing, you specifically for marketing the brands you represent and your clients. So just me knowing that if I go onto the platform, I've got a time cap and I'm on there with a purpose. And either my
Yeah.
purpose is creating and posting, or my purpose is consuming. And that's where the danger came in, is or
Mm,
comes in, is if I am going on the platform to consume, I need to be very strict with what I consume, what I'm looking at. A lot of the times in the week,
yeah.
I don't go onto my personal account, because if I am in a shitty mood and I start scrolling people's stories and posts, and mates are on holiday and having the
Oh
best
my word, worse.
the best Instagram life, of course that's going to mentally affect me, and it's going to distract me
Yeah.
from what my purpose is or my focus
Mm,
should be during office hours. So I've become really strict with what I consume, when I consume, and using the platform for what it's there for. And my friends
yeah.
often joke with me when I say like, oh, I'm not on social media on the weekends. On occasion I am. And they're like, but so much of your like you are posting all the time. And I'm like,
Mm.
that's the funniest thing, is I go on there, I'm posting with a marketing strategy, like intention behind everything, even my personal account that is mainly travel. I'm posting what I want
Yeah,
people to see, because it's all marketing at the end of the day. And I think if we
exactly.
all use that platform for that, from a mental health perspective, we can also, it can help a
Mm,
hell of a lot, because it's so easy to compare, whether you're comparing your
yeah.
friend's life or someone else that you know that's traveling and having like this amazing time on social media, or whether it's another business where they've way beyond where you are. And
Exactly. Yeah.
like, how do you actually, on that note, how do you feel if you see competitors, even if it's not direct competitors, but brands that are doing what you do, specializing in social media overseas, and they are constantly evolving and launching things? Like, what is that feeling of a little bit of a competition? How does it make
Mm.
you feel?
I mean, obviously, it's like not so nice sometimes because you see a lot of businesses flourishing and launching this and doing that, and you're still here and you're like, oh my word. I mean, I struggle a lot of times because I want everything for the client to be like perfect, and then the digital color takes a step back. So yeah, that can be a little bit of a like hard blow to take. But I know that with every business, it's not so easy. So those businesses or those people have also been through the struggle and they're on their own journey. So I just need to constantly remind myself, like, this is my journey. I know things are going well. I'm grateful to be busy and I'm grateful for the clients and all of that. And my time will come when like, for example, something exciting is happening this month. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time, but I just haven't gotten to it. And it just happened naturally that it's taking place and that it's going to be launching. And it just, yeah, it just wasn't really planned. And I feel like I put so much pressure on myself to plan this and have this done by that time. And then I get so angry when like it actually hasn't happened. And then this other brand is doing that, or, but yeah, I've learned to kind of block that out. And I get really actually excited when I see, especially like locally, my direct like competitors. I like it's an exciting thing for them. So I've learned to kind of shift my mindset of like being jealous, or why am I not there yet, or being angry. And obviously I do have those moments where I'm like frustrated that like I could be doing that, but everything in its own time, I guess. And yeah, exciting things are happening. And I've just learned that like you can't always plan everything. So just take it as it comes, and it will fall into place as soon as like it's ready.
Totally. And I think that's it's such a good reminder for me to also hear that, because we so often, my response to competition on social media, it was that I'd get very disheartened and get that kind of, yeah, exactly what you were describing. Get like angry with yourself or upset, frustrated. Why am I not there? But
Mm,
how boring would it be if we had all of it like planned and all of it went according to schedule? Because I
yeah,
was also,
exactly.
I became despondent in my previous role as running an agency because I had ticked off so much that 5, 6 years in, I was ready for something new. So there's also
Mm,
that is like the fact that there's constantly ways of evolving, self-development, upskilling, putting more into your business, getting more clients, getting different clients, like charging more, scaling down on quantities, like finding more structure and balance. Like if you're not there yet for your business, how exciting to strategize and get
yeah,
there and collaborate and work with other like-minded sort of entrepreneurs, or tap into those resources to help you get there. So it is a good space to be in. But I think for us to end off, if we can talk about some of the positives that you absolutely love about running your own business, being your own boss, still having control and flexibility, as a mom and as a business owner. What are like the biggest perks, and what do you love about it?
I love there's actually so much that I love about it. Like meeting new people along the way. I've met so many incredible people. I've learned so much with it, like different industries. And like for me, creating content is one of my favorite things, whether that's just on Canva, creating templates, or actually like going to clients and doing shoots and organizing models if I need to, or just that whole creativity behind it, like makes me so happy. And obviously when the client gives you feedback that this went so well and I love this and I'm so happy, that's obviously really um, rewarding. And then, yeah, just going from the planning and taking so much time and energy to like, if a client is launching something, a new product, or there's an event or a service or something, just that whole behind the scenes and seeing that come to life is really rewarding. And then obviously having that flexibility to be there for my daughter if I need to, if she's sick and she's at home and I can just put things aside and reschedule, I have the freedom to do that. So yeah, social media is forever changing. And for me and my personality, like I constantly do need change in my life. So um, this is something I'm passionate about, and I don't necessarily see it as like, oh, I've got to do this and I'm exhausted, and it's like exciting for me and I'm passionate about it. So I think when you find your passion, then it is, yeah, just exciting all the time. So
Oh, it's so
yeah,
interesting. Thanks so much for, yeah, your time and for chatting. I
thank
think
you.
it's a pleasure. I think that's the other reminder, just, yeah, you signing off with that message is really what also motivates me. If I just think about the past 3 days, I've been living in a little bit of a lower frequency, feeling a little bit depro, moody, hormonal, all those kinds of things. And the dangers, of course, of working by yourself in your home office is that you're not exposed to other people and their frustrations in work or like challenges that they've had. So sometimes like I get so self-absorbed and consumed in my own little bubble that when my husband comes home, I'm like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what I love about the outsourcing and the collabing and working with other like-minded sort of entrepreneurs is like just chatting to you has motivated me, has reminded me of the struggles we all go through and how important it is to network and have that support structure, whether it's a mentor, whether you outsource to a social media agency like the Digital Color, and you just have that support, and that's how you are going to succeed. That is how you
Yeah.
are going to grow. Another area where I'm outsourcing and getting in help is like my personal investments and the finance side of things, because if we're working our asses off, putting in so much time and energy, what's the difference between us and a 16-year-old YouTuber who's putting in just as much amount of time into content but making millions? Like, where do we have to think about what are we doing wrong in our businesses? But
Yeah.
thanks so much. And I know we're gonna literally probably chat in the next 5 minutes again.
I know we can go on and on for ages.
Exactly. Well, this is just
But
the
it's
first.
nice to have that connection and just have someone like you saying, like someone to bounce ideas off, or someone to vent to, or in like a similar field, because it's not so easy when you like telling your mom and she's like, oh, but why don't you just go have an early night and sleep? And you're like, but I can't. Like I have a deadline. I've just told you this, so
All good
yeah.
intentions, though.
Yeah.
Everyone plays their part in support, family members as well. Maybe just not the business advice we're needing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.